Hello, everybody. Joe DeLory here from Gothridge Manor. Sorry, the NyQuil must be kicking in. Joe DeLory here from Analog Man Cave with Tim Shores from Gothridge Manor. And yes, NyQuil is a drink of the night. Uh,
Yes,
we're both sick.
both of us are just like
Yeah.
fighting it. So yeah, you might hear a
Yep.
few sound effects.
Oh yeah, snorts and sniffles, and yeah, and Tim got food poisoning last night from nut cheese, so he's gonna be farting his ass off. So yeah, it's gonna be a shit show, no pun intended. But yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, we start out this show saying we're gonna do an hour, and that'll be a nice tight hour, and then we always go like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Tonight just might be an hour, guys.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us, everybody. It's 8:03, and we're on a roll already.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we're the topic of the evening. The topic du jour is designing monsters for your game. We figured we go over what we do, how we do it, and go
hmm
maybe some resources that we use and ideas that we have. And then Tim had an awesome idea. Well, this whole thing is his idea. And he said, "Why don't we do something for same monster for different systems? How would it look for under each different system? What considerations do you need to have?" And so,
yeah. I always like doing that. I like doing like because there's definitely a difference between the way you want to present anything from system to system. The slightest change can make such a big difference in
oh yeah.
different games. So
Oh yeah, definitely. So we figured, well, why don't you start with the cool thing of the week? I think why don't we usually do that at the beginning? And let's see, I'll turn the camera on for this one because the cool thing of the week, as far as I'm concerned,
you
is
got more dice, huh?
no
No.
Nyquil.
Oh.
Nyquil. We're definitely doing Nyquil here.
Is
So
that our sponsor for tonight, Nyquil?
that is, I wish I could use the damn fair. We're gonna all
Oh,
toast. We're all gonna
taking a
toast.
shot.
That's it. We're
Nice.
doing a shot of NyQuil. There we go.
Yes.
And because I'm a big guy, I always take a little extra there. So there we go.
I don't even use the cup if I have Nyquil. I
You just
I
chug
just
it,
swig it.
chug
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Well, not the whole thing, but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But,
So there, that's the first cool thing of the week because fuck colds. Yeah, but the
yeah.
second cool thing of the week is a pain in my ass. My brother's group finally got in our campaign to the big place they were going to get to, and it's a time of information giving and gathering and picking up a druid for the town of Parnast, and they're gonna, a lot of stuff's going on. So one character, one PC, or player, I guess, decided to transition out his PC and bring in another PC. And my brother decided, you know what, it's a good time to pick up an actual druid. So he's going to run a ranger and a druid. Dwayne's going to run another guy. So, and this again is in my own system, right? That
Right.
I'm sort of designing. And so that means I got to write up freaking druid spells, right? So, so I spent Friday, a day off, just going pouring through an awesome resource, and that's my cool thing of the week. And this is Tim's fucking fault that I don't even own this, all right? Because when I edited Tim's Kickstarter before, he gave me a gift of the Wizards Compendium books, right? And
Mhm.
my OCD required me to buy all of them in the entire series. So now I have the Priest Compendium books and I have the Magic Item Compendium books, right?
Right.
It's been an invaluable resource though, because I'm going through these things. Now these compendiums are awesome in terms of useful things, because what you have, they put this out in the late 90s, this whole series of books, and the Priest Compendium is 4 books about this thick. 3 books this thick. The Wizard
Yeah.
one is
Three,
four
four.
books this thick, and then the Magic Item one is 4 books even thicker. And it's basically it's every single spell for priests or priest subclasses ever put out by TSR up through like the late 90s. And so I've just been pouring through it looking for druid like
I
spells,
I
right?
forget. Is that like a third edition type
No,
thing? It
second.
was second.
It's all
Okay, that's what I was
second. So
wondering.
it's
Second.
perfect.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
perfect for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all three would have been is like a long-winded bullshit explanation, and then you get plus 1, 2, or 3 to something, or minus 1, 2, 3, or something.
Right.
That's all they ever were. But these spells actually have a lot of flavor, so I really enjoy these things. So I've just been pouring through it looking for druid spells or anything that could dovetail into a druid spell. And it's pretty good because what I do is I don't want to copy the spell, but I steal the spell idea, right? So
Sure.
I have a spreadsheet going, and basically it's um, a spell. I'll write down a note about a spell that I saw that either inspired me or named after this or something like that, and it'll be like a spell that lets you find buried corpses, right? Boom, easy, druid in the woods kind of a thing. That's a low level spell, and I'll write down that name, a spell that does blah, and I don't write anything else from these books. So all I'm doing is stealing the idea of the spell, right? What it does,
Okay.
and then I'll have to flesh it all out and under my own terms, right? Because I'm using DCs and I'm not using segments and time to cast, but I am using
Right.
right. So I'm not necessarily using all their verbal somatic material, and my time counting is different than than the normal 2E time counting. So segments, turns, rounds, all that kind of stuff is a little bit different. So I have to make it my own. But these books are awesome for ideas. All right. So I'm so enjoying it. I spent some time doing that. I blew through the first book. I got to go through the second book and third. And then what I need to do after that is just write up the spells. And all I got to do.
So you're going to do a thorough through all 3
Yeah.
volumes. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And the good and bad thing is that when I was going through this, I found some spells and I'm like, how is that a priest spell? That's more a wizard spell. So I wrote it down under the spreadsheet under the wizard tab. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So that now requires my OCD to go through all 4 wizard books to find what might be, that's a cool druid spell, right? So, and then I have other books, right? Now, I don't know if you guys remember the Monty Cook 3rd edition stuff. He was like a publication maniac, right? But this book, The Complete Book of Eldritch Might, is an excellent book. It's a compilation of several different Eldritch books that he put out, and all the good spells are in here. Eldritch Might 1, 2, and 3. And so all the spells are in this book. So, and he has some good spells too that weren't just +1 to something, +2 to something. It was truly one of the only 3rd edition era books where the spells weren't just, buffs and debuffs. You know what I mean? So there was some interesting spells. So I figured I'd get some ideas from this and, get the idea of the spell and write it in there as well. So that's been the cool thing of my week. That's pretty much what I've been doing. What have you been doing, Mon?
Oh, my mom. Oh,
okay. Mon. I'm going full Jamaican here.
I was going to say I don't speak Jamaican on nightfall or something like that. Yeah. So this is a small supplement. I was watching Loki's Lair.
Yeah.
And he put out his little supplement called Designing Hex Towns. Mm-hmm. It's a very small. Gosh, I think it's like 10 pages maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. It's so short. There's no need for page numbers. That's how short it is.
Jesus, really? It's like a flyer.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 10 pages here, but what he does in this is exactly he breaks down towns into different hexes and then develops like the hex. Mm-hmm. Like common buildings, and then he's got a guild section for guild tables and that. So you could have barracks in this hex, and then if you had some uncommon buildings, you might have a jewelry shop on that same one, or maybe the miners guilds on there or something like that. And then you can create a hex settlement. So what it is it's kind of a series of table. I don't know. I think maybe it's a good foundation thing. So let me start from the beginning. Yeah. Maybe I'm getting confusing with it and stuff like that. But he's got like who runs the town settlements. He just has a simple D4. And then what kind of settlement? He's got a simple D10 table. Mm-hmm.
You want to hold it up, Tim? I got you on solo view there. If you make it easier.
Yeah, it's hard. I have so much glare.
There you go.
But but then his layout skills need a little, because then he's got the other 3 on the other page.
See, that's my style of layout. You just print up a Word document, throw some tables in, and type.
Right.
You make things bold. You make things
I'm
clear.
surprised you like that kind because you're so anal about other stuff.
No, because look at my house rules. That's all they are. Right? Exactly that format. Right? That's all it is. Tables and text with bolded, underlined, and everything else. Yeah.
But yeah, so he has some simple tables here for developing what is inside there, and then like this isn't the best one because my printer was being stubborn. So this is like create a hex settlement. So you kind of just roll the districts and the what's in there, and then the landmarks within there, which is fun. I like doing the landmark stuff. And then they go, so then he kind of just goes into random encounters it doesn't give you a table for random encounters so much as it describes like what you might find there and a few examples in that. So it's not bad. I'm not going to say it's definitely not the best by any means, but if you want to roll up a quick little district in your town or something like that, you could definitely do worse. And it can kind of give you maybe a couple quick ideas on the basic general idea of what's going on in the town and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, it should. I haven't used it yet. I was just kind of reading over it. I think it was just on one of his what do you call it? His videos, but I think it's on sale at Drive Through RPG for a couple bucks or something like that. It might even be pay what you want. I can't remember what it is now, but we'll make sure we can throw that in the bottom there and add it to our notes for the show. So yeah, it's definitely worth getting to look at there. And you're muted, Joe, just in case.
I'm sorry. I'm sitting here talking my brilliant things I'm saying, and you guys aren't getting the benefit of it here. My God.
Exactly.
The wisdom is lost.
Alas. Yes, forever lost.
Yes, in the NyQuil days. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. What would you say would the best use of that would be?
Like I said, just kind of like if you already do have a city, like I have Scorn and everything. And maybe you guys hit a territory or an area I wasn't sure what it was. I could just do a quick roll and get an idea of what it could be, and just kind of run off that. You're not going to get a lot of details, but you can get a general idea of what's in there, and then you can kind of develop ideas and encounters and everything based off of that. I'd be kind of curious to see how he uses it. I don't know if he has a video of him using it.
Yeah.
Just to see how he intended it to be used.
Yeah. No, he's interesting. He's a cool guy. He seems to be more of a newer to gaming guy, right?
Yeah,
I think he put his teeth on 5e, but then he sort of get into the old school a little bit, like a lot of those guys are. That's pretty interesting.
He's doing a lot of Shadowdark. What do you call it? Playthroughs? Is that what they're called? Playthroughs?
Yeah.
Live play. I don't know what they are, but yeah, I once in a while, if I'm doing chores around the house and I don't feel like dicking around with like commercials or changing my the video every 10 seconds because the commercials come on and I have to skip it or whatever, I'll put on like a live play, and there tends not to be any commercials in those. And they last
interesting.
a while.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. That's good to know.
Well, it tends to. It doesn't mean that they're not. I mean, and I'm talking about the live while they're actually playing. Usually I can find one of those online.
Yeah. All right. So. That's cool. There was one guy who does a show, the Dungeon Musing guy. He sounds just like Tony Stark. Just like Tony. It's amazing, that guy. Dungeon Muser, I think, is the name of his channel. It's so funny, man. I just hear his voice. I'm like, oh, Iron Man's DMing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's wild. It's wild.
Just Dungeon Muser?
The Dungeon Muser, I think it's called. Yeah. He has a good show too. That's all he does is run live games. He runs like 3-4 games a week live. I don't know how the hell he does it. Like, holy crap, man.
Is it Dungeon Musings?
I think so. Yeah. His name was Kevin, I think. But yeah, he's every once in a while he does some really good reviews. Like he'll go in depth. Like he tore into 2E like for like hours and hours. And I just like listened to it as I was at the gym and everything when I was trying to come up with the 2E campaign.
Did he have to deal with their character sheet on?
No, he's just going over the books themselves.
Well, good thing he didn't go in there. He went on for another 45 minutes. For that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I may have come across them, but I guess not enough to follow them yet.
Yeah. And
looks like he does a lot of video game stuff.
Does he? Okay. All right.
I see. I maybe not, but it looks like. Maybe that's not. No, I guess I see Elder Scrolls and Dragon Age, but that could be the role-playing game. Although I never see anybody play Dragon Age role-playing game.
He plays them all. That's the thing. I don't know how he knows those rules. That's the thing. How
Yeah.
does he keep those rules going in his head? That's kind of wild. It's kind of wild. Dungeon musings, dungeon muser, something like that.
Dungeon musings.
Dungeon
Musings.
musings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's the same guy.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yep.
Okay.
That's
All
the
right.
guy. Dungeon musings. Yeah. Yeah. He's a good guy. Good DM too.
Is he? I don't
Yeah.
know if I've watched anything like that. It says K5K. What did he say? I was stunned when I found out how many class race. I can't even say race. So I'm starting to
You're fading
combinations.
already, huh?
Yeah, there were in 5e. Yeah, I didn't even know how many there were until I saw someone. I think it was even a commercial. It wasn't even a video I was watching. It was a commercial, and they went on to. It was one of those ads for the one of the online gaming things, and the list that they had of
That's
of
insane.
races and the list of classes, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, you can't call them race anymore, Tim. You got to call them like species or some nonsense. By the way, that's the latest.
Yeah, I know. I'm okay with it. I guess.
Yeah, I'll survive.
Yeah, I think I'll be all right. Yeah. So, what did they say? I'm catching up on the feed here.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That dips in the builds and all that shit. I hate that. I hate that.
What does that mean?
Like when I'm gonna start as a first level barbarian, but it's instead of going second level barbarian, I'm gonna dip into thief or rogue.
Oh,
I'm gonna take a dip in there for 2 levels so that I get their evasion ability, and then I'm gonna dip into warlock for 3 levels so I can get their talk to asshole ability, and then I'm gonna do a 5-level stint in fighter so I can get to the extra, bonus hit points, and it's like they do all this shit to try to construct the Uber thing. In the meantime, a warlock is a pact with a demon or devil or whatever the hell, right? A wizard takes 7 fucking years to go to school to learn it. You can't just like learn it overnight. It doesn't just come into your head, right? A priest or a cleric, you got to be in a seminary for 9 years. Right. And so how could you dip into barbarian when barbarian is a fucking culture? It's not a class. You can't dip into a culture and become all of a sudden better at jumping.
Well, in 5e, it's a class, not a culture.
It's stupid. That's just fucking stupid.
I know. I mean, I don't jive with it either, but I mean, if you remember back in the day, I mean, it was what Unearthed Arcana brought barbarian as a class. So
they did.
Yeah. And if you're worried about like doing the dipping thing, I mean, blame the first edition bard. That was the first dipping class there was.
Yeah, but it had some kind of sense to it, right? There was a really weird logic to it, which I kind of admired because they were like the eyes and ears and the spies of the druids. Right. And so they weren't your standard troubadour running around town singing songs. I mean, they were something special and you had to earn it, And so by the time you earned it, though, the rest of your group that you started earning it with was like, 15th level and you're sitting there walking around like a bitch. You had no abilities. It was truly a role playing class. It really was. It was a role playing type of loving class, basically. So, yeah, that's all it was.
Yeah, the only one that I ever had in my games that hit Druid, honestly, in a first edition game was Josh.
Really? He actually legit got there?
He legit got there, yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
impressive.
He legit got there, yeah. I think that was before you and I were playing together and everything.
Yeah, way before.
Well, it was during, because I years ago I ran a first edition campaign, but I ran it not like, what do they call it, raw, but as the way I ran it back in the day. So I ran with the rules with some tweaks, but pretty much as I ran it back in the day. And then, after probably a couple months, I'm like, now I know why I don't play first edition much anymore.
You steal the monsters and that's all you did from it, right? But you
I mean, I still had my world. I mean, I wasn't just that. I didn't I used the rules the way I ran back there, but my world was still pretty interactive and role play. And there was a lot of intrigue going on, and you had enemies because I had them because this was back when the Point of Light, like when 4th edition first came out, nobody wanted to play 4th edition that I was around. So what I did is I said, well, I'm going to start my 1st edition campaign, but I'm going to use the 4th edition Points of Light what do they call it? Philosophy. So, so you have this basically barren world or uncivilized world with just small pockets of civilization within it.
Okay.
And so even if you had an enemy inside this town, this enemy might have some sort of resources. So you just couldn't go up and kill them because that would deprive everyone of this resource. Just because you don't like them doesn't mean everybody else doesn't like them.
Yeah.
So it became more, intriguing to play because even the enemies had to do the same thing, or their opposition or whatever. So they might not like each other, but they had to find a way to coexist, and that made a lot of interesting situations get set up, and but kept the competition going. But they just didn't turn into a bloodbath like right away.
Yeah. All right.
So,
that's cool.
So it made it fun.
That's cool. And that sort of, I guess, leads us into the topic of editions, monsters. What do you do for different editions, different kinds of monsters?
Yeah.
So let's take a look here. What we have. What do you use, Tim, for like inspiration for creating a monster? Like what do you do? I need a thing for this thing coming up. What do you do?
Okay. I guess I either completely pull one out of my ass. It seems to be like my plan A. And strong plan 1A is dipping into like different cultures, but not just like I like the culture I'm very much into right now is the Slavic culture, and dipping into that, and grabbing. I mean, that's kind of where the Witcher stuff is from too.
Yeah.
But delving into that, maybe a little lesser known. I mean, people are going to kind of know because everybody knows like Baba Yaga and some other things, but there's a lot of there that hasn't been touched, or I should say, that a lot of people might not know. Unless you're into, and it's just good creepy ass shit too. That you can. Of course, every culture has their own creepy ass shit. There's no shortage of creepy ass shit and folklore stuff. That's for sure. But I would say that's probably my best resource, is just kind of delving into that.
I have two that I go to sometimes to grab stuff from, and one is ridiculously, insanely thick and complex, and the other is simple.
Okay.
So here, let me show you here.
Show and tell, Joe.
Start with the simple one. This thing.
Oops.
What happened? You killed me.
I don't know. I was trying to embiggen you.
Embiggen me? I'm embiggened enough, man. I don't need. There you go. All right. So this is the random esoteric creature generator.
Oh God, that's one of the originals.
It was.
Yeah,
Raji
back
put
in
this
the day.
out.
Yeah.
It wasn't even under Raji's actual license or whatever. You know what I mean? It was something there under his company. It was Goodman
Games.
Yeah,
I was going to say it still
Goodman.
was when he was writing under Goodman. Yeah.
Yep. But he later put it out, for Lamentations, and I picked it up then. I never owned the original.
Now, is that the one where you just get like the pieces and the parts, and they kind of put them together and make that type of thing?
It's a lot of that sort of thing. Like, what is the body type of the monster, right? And then there's various tables you could roll on or just pick something from, right? The general body type of different animals, movement, different types of movement. Good art, I gotta say. He always does the good art stuff, distinctive features of the creature, right? So a lot, again, more random, different.
Now, how many of those do you? There you go, Joe.
There you go.
I'm surprised that page isn't stuck together yet.
Thanks, James. Thanks, James.
When you roll on these tables, though, you can't roll on every fucking table.
No, I don't roll. I just look at it and say, "That looks interesting."
You just grab like pieces from here and there. Okay.
Yeah. I just find something that looks somewhat interesting and just say, "Oh, yeah, that's cool. I'll use this and a little of that." And sometimes I don't even use it to design the thing. I'll just like look for a little inspiration, right?
Okay.
But another book that I got a million years ago, I think on the EN World before I was booted, I asked the question of, what books do you DMs have at the table as your awesome go-to source for all kinds of things for creativity purposes? And this thing, boom.
Folklore, that's a great resource,
right?
Yes.
Folklore, mythology, and legend. This is just a Funkenwagel's dictionary, and in old school style, there's no pictures. It's just lit page after page of folklore mythology, legends from around the entire world. And the book is goddamn how many pages? I'm already up to 1,100, 1,200 pages long, right? So, yeah, with the index. So you have everything here. It's an old book. And so you're going to find all kinds of good stuff in this book. And it won't be censored or filtered because of current day
Right.
norms, right? And so you're going to see everything the way it should be written, truthfully, based
Well,
on research
they
and
don't do any pictures in that, huh? Just
not
all
not a single fucking
not a
picture,
single picture.
not one.
Okay.
I didn't see one picture. A griffin,
I'm
you know what I
surprised you
mean?
can read that, okay, Joe.
Oh, I can't. I can really. I need. This is one of the books that decided I need glasses. Let me
That's
read you.
why. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like this one and the other book I gave you, that Manly P. Hall book, Tim. That's really the one that said, "Ah, shit, I gotta
Oh,
get
right.
glasses."
Yeah, that is, well, that is like a 4 font in that thing.
Hmm.
So,
Nah, that was
yeah.
a shit show. But Gremlin, Griffin. I mean, the detail in this thing is astounding. This is it's like I'll read you a little bit of the Gremlin.
Yeah.
Any airborne supernatural being, spirit, demon, imp, whose function is to cause pilots and aircrew, especially military, trouble and
Right.
inconvenience. So far, these little people first began talking to the air, taken to the air during World War One, particularly among the RAF. I mean, it's just the history of the Gremlins,
Yep.
what they are, where they come from. It's an amazing thing, and there's one too. It's a full page thing, you know. Griffin,
Yep.
GRYPS. I never heard of that before. You know,
Okay.
so yeah, I don't know what the hell a grip is. Now I got to kind of look it up before we go here. G R Q R
I
S.
don't know what it is either, I don't think.
Yeah, now I'm very curious. GR. God, my eyes. I should have brought glasses. GR. I skipped it.
Use your phone.
GR. What's that? Yeah, to magnify it like an
Yeah,
old guy.
that's what I do.
Yep, that's what my grandfather
That's,
had a magnifying glass always next to his
I
table.
know. I remember those. Yeah, they always said that
Yep.
they'd have a letter opener, they'd have a magnifying glass, and like some pens in their,
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
was like, why would I? Why did you do that? And then now I
yeah.
know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and I bought one myself.
Did you?
Yeah. I'm old. So grip, GRYPS, or Griffiths, GRYPHUS. In Greek mythology, a griffin, a monster with the head and wings of an eagle, the body of a lion, and sometimes the tail of a serpent, dwelling in the country between the Hyperboreans and the one-eyed. Wow, can't pronounce that word. Arimapians. The Griffins were the enemies of horses and were constantly at war with the Arimapians, who tried to capture the gold guarded by the Griffins.
Okay.
The chariot of the sun, sometimes that of Zeus and of Nemesis also, was drawn by the Griffins. I didn't know that. The idea of these creatures possibly was brought from the East, perhaps the Indo-Iranian mythology. Wherever they appear in legend, the Griffins are always guardians of mines and treasure, as, for example, Scythian and Indian gold. Right? I mean, the history of Griffins. You just in D&D, we just get a freaking stat block,
Right,
and they hate horses. So guard your horses. As soon as somebody says a griffin, oh, guard the horse, right? So that's all you ever. But in this thing, it's a little bit different. In this, you get a little background, a little lore, and you could either take that and roll with griffins, or take it and roll with some other creature. But I kind of like the fact that they're always guardian of treasure. Gold especially.
Yeah, now you make me. I dug out one of my old books that I used to go to every once in a while. So this is This is from Viking Press. Unfortunately, I lost the. What do you call it?
Dust cover.
Because it was
Dust jacket.
So this is as you can tell, it's a bit of an oversized book, and it's titled "The Encyclopedia of Things That Never Were."
Mm-hmm.
Creatures, Places, and People by Michael Page and Robert Ingpen, Viking Press. So what it does is it separates into, but this book has some beautiful artwork. So it has of the cosmos, of the ground and underground, of wonderland, of magic, science, and invention, of water, sky, and air, and of the night. So I'll just kind of show you a few of the. So here we get a little thing of like Icarus.
Oh, nice.
And
that's really cool.
There's a cool one in here, King Arthur. Oh yeah, here is Gogamagog. Gogamagog.
Who?
Gogamagog.
All right. That's a cool picture.
Yeah, it's an arrogant giant, took the name from the biblical reference, which means all the enemies of the earth. Presumably, he thought his strength equaled that of all other fighting men. So Yeah. So it just, I'm going to see if I can find it. I love the King Arthur one in here because, of course. But yeah, it's got beautiful artwork. It's got like, here's one of the knights, just showing you the.
Oh, very cool, man.
Yeah.
Very
But I
cool.
used to go to this one quite a bit too and it's got all different kinds of cultures and everything too. It's got the South America
Okay.
one that's the I can't remember
Quetzalcoatl or something like
yes,
that. Yeah.
exactly. Yep, yeah,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I am. And by the way, I am not Mason adjacent. If I were a Mason, I couldn't tell you because if I told you, I have to kill you, right? So I have to break an oath and I burn in hell for all the
Mason
time there.
adjacent.
But I like the Joe SR. I like how that's sticking. You know, it's as a
You
counter.
do like that one, I
I do
know.
kind of like that. You
We,
know, it's
we need
fighting.
to. Oh, here's the King Arthur one. So this is one of my favorite ones.
Oh,
So
very cool,
it's
man.
got Morgan Le Fay kind of lurking there in the
Yeah,
background in
yeah.
the battle. Yeah.
All right.
So,
What's a good thing, a good resource too, is
mm,
if you just go to new age shops, right?
yeah.
You can find books like this
Oh, yeah.
all over the place.
I used to have. I think I told you this, Joe. I used to have like a small library of,
Yeah.
and I had one of those five. Well, like one of these things behind me, and it was just encyclopedias. It was just
Yeah.
different types of Encyclopedia of Angels, Encyclopedia of Demons,
Hmm.
Encyclopedia of Vampires, whatever. Everything I could get my hands on for that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
eventually, I got tired of moving them,
Yeah.
and I could get all the. And then basically, if I wanted to find something, I could just Google it, and everything was
Hmm.
right there. So that
But it's
they'd
not
be
the same as a
approached.
book. It's not the
It's
same as a book.
not. I know, but I don't have to move the internet.
That will. The internet moves you, Tim. The internet moves you.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go. You keep talking for a second. I'm gonna go grab a book. You're gonna cream
Let's
yourself.
what are some of the resources everybody's out there that's used to kind
Yeah,
of help
yeah.
you
Start
create
telling
some
us, guys, while I
stuff?
grab the book.
Yeah.
All right, I'll be back in 1 second.
So I always pre-plan every damn encounter, especially the random encounter. I kind of too do. I've spoken about this in the past, Grimlord, but I kind of do. But I still use a random table and I roll on it. And what I sometimes do is I'll roll on it twice to kind of see the interaction, and then but then it's kind of a pre-planned random encounter. Kind of contradicts itself, but it's what I do. And Manly P. Hall is the Joe SR Masons. I don't want to have got my. No, you don't. Yeah. Yeah. I don't roll on random tables either. They're just for inspiration. DMs who insist on rolling strike me as unimaginative. I wouldn't call them unimaginative. It's just a different way people get their, resources in their brain. That's some weird called Joe. Masons can't tell lodge secrets, but they can tell anyone that they're Masons. Yeah, they even have that on their license plates.
They can see, they can say you're a Mason. You just can't tell any of the secrets. But I have all the Masonic secret books. But
Gotcha.
there you go, Tim. You're gonna cream your shorts.
Oh
I know you
no.
used to have these, didn't
Oh,
you?
I had the whole one. I had
Oh yeah.
the entire series, and then I had
Yep.
the other one too, the black ones, the one about what was it
Enchanted
called? The
World.
paranormal one,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
black
I'm sure you had
ones.
that.
Yeah.
The Enchanted
Yeah, my
World.
mom used to make fun of me. She goes, Time Life don't even make those books anymore. They're just making them for you now. Because I had so many. Well, I knew I finally hit the end of the paranormal one because the very last book was just an index book.
Yeah.
So it had an index for all the other books.
For all the
I'm like,
books that you had, basically, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and it was a lot, but yeah, I had all of those at one time.
Yep.
Those were good books. I really did like those. I mean, they were good for surface things.
Yeah.
If you want in-depth things, it would wet your whistle so you could really go someplace else and really go into depth. But it was really good about maybe telling a story to kind of give you a little taste, and see if you wanted to, go in deep.
Yep. I did enjoy it. So let's do a monster. All right. So what kind of monster do you guys want to see us make? What's the encounter? What do you want to?
I'll tell you what, Joe. Why don't we start off with what was the last recent monster you came up with, and how did you come up with it?
Well, I told that story last week. Remember with my niece? My niece was telling me that because I said, "Hey, what do you want to see me kill your father with tonight?" And she says, and her.
But that wasn't really a new monster, was it?
It was
just
three-headed dog. and it was a half troll, half giant. So it was a
Yeah,
combination
I
of
guess
stuff
so.
that was already out there, right?
Yeah.
There's two-headed dogs. I'll throw another head on there,
Right.
and that sort of thing. So in terms of a brand new monster, I haven't done one of those in a bit. I think for some reason I got it into my head. I a long time ago, I kind of like the idea of hopping. You ever see like a what do you call it? Those horseshoe crabs in the ocean,
Yeah.
right? All
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
so a horseshoe crab, right? So, and then those we growing up in Jersey for a while, we had these things, and you had to be very careful where if you're floating in the waves, you got to be careful if you don't just sit down or step down because you get it, that tail right through your foot or something or through your ass, right? So you always had to be careful. But
Right.
I always like that idea of something like that. But how about on land, right?
Hmm.
And how about instead of the tail shooting up, the tail sticks down? Okay. And that means
Okay.
that it was like sort of a horseshoe crab, more like a regular crab that hopped, and it was able to hop into the air over the enemies, right? And
Okay.
it was only an icy environment monster. And so essentially the tail itself, it didn't have a tail. It shot icicles from the air. So as it's launching itself over you, right?
Uh,
So imagine it's something a crab launching
okay.
itself 20 feet above your head,
All right.
clearing you, and as it's
Right.
above your head, it shoots down a fucking icicle like Ralphie, like the glasses, the shattered glasses of Ralphie in the Christmas story, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
so it's like you got this icicle shooting down into you, and then the horseshoe crab then just has to like land in snow and suck up more snow in order to generate another
Oh,
icicle,
okay. All
right? So
right.
it's only an icy environment creature, but it had a
Okay.
high AC because it was a shell around it, right?
Right.
And it basically shot the icicle down on you, and it would just burrow into the snow and be hard to find because it was white, so it had a natural camouflage
Sure.
thing going on.
Very
And so
cool.
it was a small thing. It was, a foot and a half across. But the thing is, they attacked in swarms, right? And so at any
That'd
one
be
time,
nasty.
you had
Yeah.
a dozen of these things shooting over your heads from all different directions. And if you are lucky enough to get a shot off underneath them, easy, soft underbelly, right?
What
But
kind of stats are you talk? Like, would this be like? Would they
two hit
each be a
dice,
one?
one,
Oh,
one or
two.
two hit dice. That's it.
Okay.
You know
So
what I
kind of
mean?
like a Sturge
Yeah,
level.
yeah, yeah. It's
Or...
just kind of like that. It's more like a little bit more of a threat than a sturge, and it did the
Oh
icicle
yeah. Yeah.
D3 damage plus a little cold damage, maybe something like that.
Hmm.
And yeah, so you're getting just like a swarm, and you don't see them coming because you're walking through the snow, and all of a sudden the snow erupts from all around you
Yeah.
because
This
the
launches
camouflage
up. Yeah, that's
launches up,
crazy.
and so it explodes upwards all around you, and next thing you know, you're getting shot by icicles out of horseshoe crabs' assholes. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much
Right.
what it comes down to. I was
No, I
kind of
can.
like that one. That
Yeah,
was a
that is a pretty good one because I can
yeah.
see it if you're kind of in a cavern or someplace.
Hmm.
They could attach themselves to the walls and the ceiling if need be. So they'd have so it'd be a 3-dimensional attack, like you said,
Yes.
instead of just a 2-dimensional,
Hmm. Hmm.
type of thing. Yeah, that would be a good one. You're gonna have to write that one up, Joe.
I did at some point or another. I think I ran that in the
There
LOT.
you go. K5K already did the hard work and got you a nice
Assicles.
name.
Oh, fantastic. Assicles. I love it. I
I
love it.
do too.
I love it. Yeah, it's perfect, man. So I asked the Assicles it is. Yeah, so that was just one of them I did. I kind of like that one.
Yeah, that is
I go
good.
back to that sometimes because I sort of enjoyed what went into it. How it's kind of a little bit different and people don't expect it, right?
Right.
So yeah, that was kind of fun. And of course, they're more harmed more so by any sort of fire damage, right, and immune to cold, something like
Right.
that, right? So yeah. So that's pretty much it. That in terms of that creature, and it was just a fun thing to do. It was a hit point drain type creature, right? So that's
Sure.
another thing. It's like what kind of creature do you want?
Well, if
You
you
want
got
a
a
boss?
dozen of those things shooting at you, that's
Yeah,
a nasty little swarm
it
there.
is. It is. It is.
Yeah,
And
you
let's
get
say they got two in the chute, two in the poop chute, ready to go, and then it takes another couple rounds to generate another one of burrowing through
two in the
snow.
poop shoot ready to go. Huh?
So
They're
yeah,
locked and loaded, huh?
locked and loaded. So
Yeah.
so and let's say that doesn't kill you. They burrow into the snow, and
Mhm.
they gotta recharge, right? Eat some snow and make another an icicle. I'm
That's
sorry.
cool. And
So
that's the call.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
What was the last cool one you made that you were kind of happy with?
I think the one I liked the one I don't even think you've encountered these, Joe.
Mhm. Taking notes for the next time.
Yeah, well, um, they were actually summoned creatures
Okay.
from a God, I can't remember what they were, but I just remembered I kept the names. They're just called wind wolves. So while you were in their presence and everything, there was like a strong wind blowing by, kind of
Mm-hmm.
swirling around them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then what their deal was, though, they're kind of like they usually only came around when they were summoned, and they usually were there to guard a specific location or object. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And their little trick was if you hit them and didn't kill them, the wind would increase around them and increase their armor class by one.
Mm-hmm.
So if you kept hitting it for small amounts of damage, this damn thing might, its armor class starts raising because the wind starts howling,
Yeah.
it starts blowing around and everything. Because like when I had, well, actually Vance was in the game, and they kept on hitting the damn thing for one hit point. It was better not to hit
Oh,
it,
yeah.
but
Then they
they
hit it
kept
with a
hitting it
little
for
bit of
one point.
damage.
So I think I started off like a relative, like um, I think it was like a 12 or 13 armor class.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty nothing real horrific or anything.
Yeah.
By the time and it was only a 3-hit dice creature. I say only, but
Uh-huh.
it was a 3-hit dice creature. And by the time they were done, it had like an 18 or 19 armor class because they just kept on
Jesus.
taking little chunks out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So what it did is if like I said, it was almost better not to hit it than if you just take little pieces out of it. So it made it harder and harder. Its attack didn't grow anymore, but like the area of like, and then after a certain point, missile weapons stopped working because the wind got so bad and everything too. So like you could like it would get like
Oh, okay. I
the
see what you're
equivalent
saying.
of
Yeah.
like a what do you call it, missile protection, or
Mm-hmm.
I mean magic stuff would still hit it, of course,
Yeah.
but like if you were just trying to shoot a normal bow at it, it would just like kind of get swept to the side.
Okay.
It's like trying to shoot a bow and arrow in a
A tornado.
little tornado, yeah,
Yeah,
that kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
So I did like that, and then when you kill them, they just vanish, kind
Okay.
of. So I thought those were, and then like if there was anything around in the room or in the area, those things, then stuff would be flying off the walls or off the streets, and so it had a environmental effect also to
Mm-hmm.
anything around it. So
Mm-hmm.
I did like those. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
those were
Not
kind
Greenpeace friendly environmental effects.
of, I guess not. I don't know. Unless giving the world of swirly, and I'm not sure if that would count or not.
All
Yeah.
right, so we have one suggestion out there. Grimlore threw it out: a Lovecraftian abomination, which is sewer dwelling in a cryptid. I don't know if he meant all of those things to be separate, 3 different suggestions, but I think we just combined it up. So
Well, I mean, yeah, it's an easy combination because to
yeah,
me, yeah, because I love me some cryptids and everything
yeah.
like that.
All right, now
Those are
how do you
those
define
are
cryptid, Tim? I know you're into this stuff a lot. What do you define?
basically is a cryptid is something that exists. It's basically almost like a folklore monster is a cryptid
Okay,
in a way.
Chaparral, wherever it's called, something like
Yeah,
that.
like Bigfoot,
Bigfoot.
Loch Ness monster. I
Okay,
mean that's the easiest way to describe it. In that,
okay.
uh, and then like the difference between a Lovecraftian creature and a cryptid is, and the Lovecraftian creature would be considered an ultra terrestrial because
Okay,
it's not of this earth,
gotcha.
where a cryptid is of this earth, where a Lovecraftian comes from time and space out of
Okay,
so it's considered an ultra terrestrial kind of
all right.
creature.
Okay, so
Anything,
and it dwells in the sewer. That's easy, right? What was that movie Chud? Wasn't the something humanoid underground dweller? What the hell was
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't remember, but yeah,
yeah.
I think that you got it. Yeah.
All right, all right. So we have an ultra something from not of this world, not of this plane, that lives in this sewer, and that myths and legends have been built about. Okay, so with that in mind, what lives in it? So what characteristics would it have? All right, here we go. Oh, the 5K.
So, yeah. So the myth of the cryptid, how to make it Lovecraftian.
A
Have
giant.
a giant sewer crocodile affected by a Lovecraftian cosmic power.
All right. Okay. All right. So I love. All right. So some sort of crocodile-like thing, right? So affected by Lovecraftian and power. So, all right. All right. The crocodile. That is like a standard, the myth of the crocodile. You flush it down
We'll
the
have a
toilet.
giant sewer crocodile not affected by the by the Lovecraftian cosmic power.
All right. So a sewer croc. Anything Lovecraftian to me screams tentacles, right? I
Right,
mean, you just needs to have some sort of like tentacle like thing. Or
right.
and weren't they always too like some sort of like they weren't quite plant or animal, they were a little bit of each, right? Maybe a
Yeah.
little
I
mixed in
mean,
the mold and the fungus mixed in there too, you know?
yeah, I mean they kind of defied, what do you want to call it? Really description in that way, I think. I don't know if
Okay.
they um yeah, but what we could all right, so
So we have so we have an alligator's body, right? And with tentacles. And the tentacles are long at the end. Some of them have eyes, and some have maybe suckers. So multiple tentacle purposes. How about something like that? So
yeah,
many,
there's a
many tentacles, tentacle tail.
yeah. You
Yeah.
could almost have a like instead of an alligator tail, use like a almost like a what do you call it? The displacer, like it's got like maybe seven tail or
Uh huh.
like tentacle tails type of
Okay.
thing on the back. But the other thing, because one of the things I'd like to do with Lovecraftian stuff is like a lot of times when we think of Lovecraftian, we think of Cthulhu and all, we think of the immensity of these creatures.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes what sometimes is creepy is like when they're small
Mm.
and they can fit into places that maybe they normally couldn't, or maybe that they're they're that thing that hides in the dark, uh kind of, because if you do, because I mean you talk about the alligator getting flushed down the toilet type of
Yeah.
thing. What if they're not what if they're returning and
So,
maybe not specific, they're coming back up through the toilets.
yeah. 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 Oh my God. How about that? The tentacles. The tentacles come up through the toilet. You're taking a shit. Next thing you know, some tentacle goes out and just bites
Or
your
it's not,
balls
they
off.
they can they can navigate like the sewer system,
Hmm.
like so they can get through like the smaller pipes or the smaller things, but
Hmm.
have that alligator kind of shape and
Yep.
mouth, and the nice little horrific things that comes with the, because I could see them like doing the death rolls on a big
Uh huh.
rat or something like that, clapping its thing
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah.
latching its tails on, just doing something along those
Yeah.
lines.
So now what I'm thinking, I have for some reason aliens in my head because you got big mama alien and then the other little baby aliens running around, right?
Yeah.
So the big mama alligator, alligator cryptid thingy, just spawned some nasty eggs,
Oh, I
right?
see what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. And so the sewer workers are, and unclogging a drain and they come across this slimy mass of eggs. That's
Okay.
what's clogging the drain, right? And
Right.
upon inspection, oh, it's not, mold growth or like debris. It's actually eggs. And one of them accidentally pops it, cracks an egg, and out comes this thing that bites his face off. You know, that would be kind of interesting. The Gator Man. Yeah. Oh, what if it turns people into Gator Men? Right? So you bite it, you're infected by this thing, you become a servant and a slave to the mama gator. So you got big mama gator popping egg caches all over the place there. That's interesting too. Yeah. So we have an alligator with tentacles, and on some of the tentacles are eyes, and some are maybe suckers, or you could bite and devour or something like that. Right? Okay. All right. So we have a giant alligator and baby alligators. You start getting transformed once bitten, like a were creature almost. Yeah, 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 yeah. That sounds interesting. Okay, all right. So now with these things in mind, all right. So we have tentacles, we have the alligator biting, we have mom alligator, we have baby alligator, then we have some level of transformation. All right. So without like doing up a stat block for every single creature, so we have those things in mind.
Right.
Now you got to figure out, okay, what game system are you doing this for? Because that determines how it's going to sort of be laid out and played out, right? Yeah, you're getting the alien vibe too, O'Neill. Yeah, me too. I kind of
Yeah,
like.
where's Geiger when you need him, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
No.
All right. So
Which one do you want to do first, Joe?
the
I
most
figured.
basic is OSE, right?
Yeah, OSC.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that makes
Okay.
sense. I'm gonna grab my OSC monster book just
All right.
so like we can draw from inspiration from the other stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
The terms that they use, uh, to describe special powers and
Yep,
stuff
yep,
like that.
yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one thing I wish they did have in this thing is just sort of just a list of like the different abilities that creatures have.
I know, I know. It would be a lot easier if they had something like, but I mean, that's what you use the random esoteric generator thingy for, essentially, something like that.
Well, another one that has one like that that's really good is that Tome of Adventure Design. There's a whole
Yeah.
chapter just dedicated to kind of pretty much a similar thing that
Mm-hmm.
one you provided too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so let's see here because I'm just looking up. I'm going to look up was it crocodile or
Okay.
alligator? Which one did we say it was? I can't remember which one's bigger.
I think they're the same thing essentially. I mean, people use them
Mm,
interchangeably because I know they're different, but people
right.
kind of use them interchangeably because I think wasn't one saltwater, one freshwater. Essentially, that's really the big difference.
Well, and one's bigger than the other one.
Yeah,
So
and the snout is shaped slightly
differently.
differently.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to know that stuff, but yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
anymore.
Back in my
Yeah,
youth, my younger days.
in my younger days.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have that in the first one. Oh yes, they do. 13. We're gonna say it's crocodile because that's what I found first.
All right, so be it.
Yeah, let's see
Make
what
it
they.
so at number one. All right.
So let's see. They have giant crocodile, large crocodile, and normal crocodile. So basically, the only real special ability it has is it says feeding frenzy, attracted to the scent of blood or violent movement in the water.
Okay.
And would that make sense for this creature?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would think it's sort of like
I think so. Yeah.
like it has basically the ability to, like a spider in the middle of its web, know what's coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That makes
feeding frenzy. Let's put it. What do you think the range would be on that then?
How far out would the tentacles stretch? Because I imagine it's tentacles that have some level of sense.
Well, if it's in the sewers, you'd have water and everything like
Mm-hmm.
that. So
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know. I was thinking maybe 30 feet. That seems
Yeah.
reasonable without being
Yeah. Yeah.
overpowered.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
I mean, it would depend on the splash too, right? You know, how
yeah.
much noise they're making. You just play it by ear, essentially, right?
Well,
So
I would essentially say, I don't know. What do you think about this? But I'd actually say that they're deaf too, and they have to rely on the
okay.
vibration.
Okay. Maybe the Cthulhu evil magic made it deaf and its senses have been skewed or something like that.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah, it's just honed this other sense kind of
Uh-huh.
thing.
All right. All right.
Just put the, because you don't want to make it too, because I mean, it might go to advantage because then that would help a thief kind of maybe sneak by one or,
Yeah.
give maybe some sort of, if they knew about it. Let's see what we got here.
Now, how about maybe the baby creatures are sort of attuned psychically to mom. So if they sense something, mom senses something.
Yeah, I think that would be more of a almost like a, yeah, because if it's Cthulhu, then yeah, I would say more psychic than pheromone based. Then
Yep. Yep.
okay.
Yep. So it senses minds, it senses presences and minds and things like that, right?
What does
The crocodile? Yeah, the Cthulhu,
the big one.
Yeah, the Cthulhu creatures. They always kind of
wait. They sense minds, or they just know
like
their
brains, like psychic energy, I should say. You know what I mean? They would sense psychic energy, maybe. What do you think?
Well, then they wouldn't need to know about the people, like the movement thing. They could just detect it.
Yeah, that way both. I mean, with no harm in both. Just anything that fucks the players is a good thing.
I think keeping it to its mom would make more sense. Like
Okay.
they'd be attuned to being able to read them. It's sort of like I'm using a poor example, but bees or ants are kind of like a hive mentality where they can sense it, but that's more a little bit different, but the same. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. Let's see. Alien vibe. Inspiration. Gibbering mouth or sounds. Maybe hear howls of agony from his victims. The Thing from John Carpenter. The Exagator. Xenogator. Okay, yeah, kind of. That's a cool Xenogator.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. That's,
gator.
it's good inspiration. A squelching, wet, slapping sound moves down a dark tunnel towards you. You see a glint of 9 yellow eyes peering back at you. Yeah, you would never think something with 9 eyes is at heart. It's an alligator or a crocodile, right?
No.
Yep. Saltwater crocs are the biggest. Okay. Crocs are narrow and gators are wide. All right. I knew there was one bigger than the other like that. Narrow and
Yeah.
wider. Blood in the water draws the babies in. Oh, that's cool. So it's feeding time. He smell the blood and water like sharks do. And all of a sudden they come running. He goes, "Oh, mom killed something else. Let's go eat."
Should we and then make it kind of creepy? Like, let's have all the babies kind of hide under the scales of mom.
Oh,
So that way they pop out underneath the scales. And
yeah.
So they're protected by mom, the mother. But okay, so causes
all right.
Swarm. To swarm.
9 yellow eyes are going to think it's a beholder, right? They're never going to think that it's something in the water. The eye stalks and all that.
Yeah.
I like that. If they're eye stalks and whatnot, yeah. Albino, like in the New York City sewers. Are there actually albino crocodiles in the New York City sewers? I don't know. All right, so we got the basic sort of like the fluff structure, right?
Right.
Sound good? So then it's a matter of, all right, how powerful do you want to make the creature? So we have the inspiration, we have the idea, we have kind of the creepy shit that it does, right? Cthulhu horror-y kind of thing, inspired by maybe a little bit of alien stuff, maybe a little thing stuff, and we have some of the abilities it has. Now we have to sort of mechanize, bring it down to a mechanical system. And OSE is kind of the most basic system, right? So we're looking at hit points, armor class, attack bonus. I think they have, right?
Correct. Yeah, they have. They do the THAC0 with the attack bonus type thing.
Yep. All right. So what do you think? This is the Big Mama 7 or 8 hit dice creature.
So let's see here. Just for example, their giant crocodile, which is 50 foot long, which is too big, is 15 hit dice. A large crocodile, which is 20 feet long, is 6 hit dice. I think that's probably more. We're looking for maybe the mom one.
Okay.
And then normal crocodile is 2 hit dice.
Okay. The biggest. Let's go for the biggest for Mama, at least.
You want to go with a giant crocodile, 50 foot?
Yeah. 50 foot, and it's long, and it lives maybe in the big reservoir area. Where all the tunnels combine. All the sewer tunnels combine.
Kind of in the hub.
The hub, yeah.
So you're going. So what do you think the AC would be then? If it's got so we got a hit dice of 15. We got an AC of what then?
AC.
How tough is this thing going to be?
It's going to be tough. I mean, we're going.
Oh yeah.
Lower is better in this, right? So
it does it both. It does both ways. It just does that. 19. Whatever you say in one, you just has to add up to 19 with the other.
So what if we just look at it in terms of what type of armor? How much? Look at it in terms of armor, the AC level, right, of it. So do you want it to be as good as chain or as good as plate? Right. So
even the large crocodile in here is actually, it's as good as plate.
Okay, then
the giant crocodile that you liked is better than plate. It has an 18 AC, so that gives it +8. So that's like a +1 plate with a shield. OSC. So So you're thinking about that one then. So it gives it AC 1 and then /18. All right. All right. The other thing is now we go to the attack.
Okay.
So does this thing? So it's got a bite attack, I'm assuming.
Yep.
So we'll say 1 bite. All right. And the bite attack of a giant crocodile is 3d8.
That's So we got to go bigger. Go big.
You want to go bigger than that one then?
Yeah, because this is a 50 footer, right?
Well, I'm giving you the stats of the 50.
Oh, okay, that's the 50 footer. Okay,
this is the 50 footer. Yep, I'm getting the stuff I'm giving you now will be all from the giant crocodiles, they call it.
Gotcha. Okay, I think that what crocodiles do though, not only do they bite you, but then they try to break your body, right? They
do the death roll. They grab you and twist you, and then they'll take you underwater, and then they stuff you under a log and let you ferment for a while.
Okay. All right. So that's cool. So we have a death roll. I'm reading the 2E crocodile version, and they lie in wait for their prey. Bonus to surprise. They swiftly, silently swim up to the person, grab them, bring them down below the surface of the water. They prefer to attack with their powerful jaws, and this, 2D4 for the smaller ones. They lash with their tails for D12. They fight amongst themselves for prey. Yeah. So in other words, so we have a couple of potential attacks, right? So you got the bite, the tail, and then the drag
Well, you
underwater.
got the tail. Well, your tail's not a tail. Your tail's got like tentacles.
Tentacles,
So
yeah.
yeah. So we have to kind of figure.
Yeah. They can maybe wrap around.
So kind of like entangle or mobilize somebody.
Yeah. The more tentacles hit, the higher the chance it is that you're actually held and can't move.
Okay. So how many tentacles did we say they were?
I think we said 9. Somebody said 9. So why don't we go with that?
Okay, 9. So I'm going to go 1 bite or because I'm going to say the 9 tentacles. Yeah, it has to be behind them to 9 tentacles. And they don't do damage. They just entangle.
Yeah, they can entangle. They're also the sensory, arms. They could see, they could smell. Maybe some tentacles are for sight, sound, and psychic emanations. But they all have the ability to wrap. Maybe some tentacles have little mouths at the end of them or something like that, right? I mean, you can make up tentacles to do whatever you wanted in that. But I think the benefit of tentacles, though, instead of the tail swapping somebody down, the tentacles could wrap around somebody and drag them underwater and drown them. Right.
Sure. Yeah.
And then the more tentacles that are on you, the harder it is to break free with a strength check or the old school games of bend bar lift gates or whatever,
Yeah, I'm just looking for something that's kind of the equivalent to like a carrion crawler, or in this one, I can't talk tonight. Carcass crawler. Those do paralysis. They're tentacles.
You're right. 5e they call it the blind sight. Yeah. They have just basically the sensory arms, And so the other thing too is the tentacles. As you're attacking them, tentacles would not have the same AC as the rest of the body. So if you're wrapped up in tentacles, your party is going to come charging in and try to attack the tentacles. So we'd make them a lesser AC.
So what would their AC be?
Let's call it 7. AC of 7 instead of 2, instead of 1.
Okay.
And they have different hit points, right? They have, like, if you kill a tentacle, you're taking away from the hit points of the whole, but each one has 4 hit points.
So if you like a giant did I lose it? Yes, there it is. So it's got, on average, the way it does is 67 hit points.
Okay.
So if you have 9 tentacles and you give them how many each?
3 or 4, right?
If you give them 4, 36, that's more than half. If you give them 3, I'm good with either. I'm just kind of doing the quick math for you.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you think? 3 or 4?
I'll go 3. 3 hit points per tentacle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hit points each. Okay, cool.
And the tentacles bring underwater and drown you, and then we got to get into drowning rules, Rob. Yeah.
Drowning rules, yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some somewhere, but yeah. Or basically what they do for that is like the mom, that's how she feeds the kiddos. The kids come out and start feeding on the one that's entangled.
Yeah. Just gnaw at it and just chew it up.
Right.
Cool. Yeah, simple. 3 rounds to live. Good luck. All right, I like that. But people are going to bitch like, I have a higher con. I should last longer. And I could hear that coming already.
Well, you could say 3 rounds plus your con bonus.
Boom. There you go.
Yeah, nice. Which is, most will give you is another 1, 2, 3 rounds or something like that. Yep.
So the tentacle attacks don't do damage; they just grapple and drown you.
Yeah, they kind of like entangle.
Yeah,
entangle you.
Yep. And so there's a base of, let's say 1 tentacle grabs you. That's a strength of 10 to beat, like an opposed strength check.
I know, but now we're getting that gets too. That's a lot.
It gets complicated because in old school editions, you're looking at a Ben Bar's lift gates roll,
right?
Yeah. And then in the newer editions, you're looking at something like opposed strength checks, right? So
Well, this one does. This is just Ben Bar's too.
Yeah.
It's not much difference, but if we start like, well, he's got 3 tentacles on him, then he's -3, or
That's the
I
thing,
don't
right?
know.
Because you get more tentacles have hit you. Each tentacle about to roll the hit, and if the more hit you, the harder it is to get out. So
Yeah,
if you bend bars and lift gates,
I
chance
mean, because
is.
that's a D6 roll though. See what I mean?
What about the percentage one?
Well, that's not. This isn't a percentage one.
What the hell was the percentage one? It wasn't bend bar lift gates. What the hell was the percentage one? That was geez, let me look it up.
For
For strength. There was two, right? There was two
uh,
different ones on strength. Let me see.
yeah,
Yes, there was
I think it was. Yeah,
there
but I
was an
don't
open
think
doors, and then there was the bend bar lift gates. The bend bar lift gates was a percentage.
there's any difference, Joe. I think they're the.
Same thing.
I'm double checking.
Yeah.
I might be wrong though. But it's been a while since I got my OSE books out.
Yeah, yeah. But
I
the bottom line, I mean,
love doing this stuff though.
we don't have to do it right now as long as we talk about the concept of it. Is like the gist
Right.
is what you need to do is adapt it to your rule system, right? Because whatever it is, if you're doing the bend bar lift gates, that's an old school thing. If you're doing the open doors, that's a little bit easier of a chance to do it. That's not like in second edition, that's on a D20 roll. What is your open door
Right.
chance? Only the strongest fighters get the bend bar lift gates. I would just say make it an opposed strength check no matter what edition you're using. You could use that mechanic across any edition. It's just easier, you know?
An opposed strength check.
Yeah. So if you're wrapped up in one tentacle, it's the
Okay.
equivalent of a 10 base strength. And for every additional tentacle that's on you, it adds one more on the strength, right? So if you got 3 tentacles, you got 10 is 1, right? 2 more is 11, 12. So you are entangled
Okay.
by a creature with a strength of 12. And so you have to roll and beat a 12, basically. You have to roll a d20, add your strength modifier, beat the 12. Yeah. Opposed strength is so much easier, I think. Yeah, keep it simple. Or strength check, roll under. So in other
Right.
words, yeah, you
Well,
just,
we're trying to make it for the specific.
that's the thing. We're trying to make it for
We're trying to make it for each. That's the challenge of it.
that is the challenge. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, generally, opposed strength checks. Yeah. I mean, it's simple, it's easy, but like we're trying to make it for a specific
Mhm.
thing. So sometimes we got to play by their rules, and then we can break them later.
Exactly.
You know.
You do like break.
So entangled as a 10 strength with first one, and then +1 strength. We'll just say you said every other or every.
Every one adds something. It makes it a little bit harder,
Okay.
right?
All right. Okay. Leave it as a game master figure out the specifics of the system.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's really what it comes down to is you got to sit there and think about it. Like what makes sense for you, in whatever system
Right.
you're doing.
But
And
when you're rating this stuff for other people, you have to.
that's it. That's the
You still
challenge.
have to be somewhat, and then let them do the ruling at that
Mhm,
point.
mhm.
Definitely, that's the big difference. So.
Yep. And that's when you realize that certain systems are just overly complicated, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Or just because I don't mind opposing checks
Yeah.
a lot of times, but I try to. I don't know. I steer away from that as much as I can these days. I still go into it because it's an easy thing to do, but it becomes a crutch, I think, a lot of times.
Yeah, it's easy. It's
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with easy. I mean, there's times where that's the best suitable thing, but
Mhm.
I notice like even the old school gamer guys, even though they're not, they're using OSE or something like that, they'll default to like
Yeah.
an ability check or kind of thing, which nothing wrong with that. I just
Yeah.
sometimes like try to because I noticed I was going to it like almost too often
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
instead of maybe kind of looking to see what exactly how the game wants me to resolve it.
Mhm.
Because sometimes I think I can only speak for myself, but I'll take a shortcut that doesn't necessarily need to be one.
Yeah. I'm looking at
With
the
it.
OSC strength, Tim, and it's just basically open doors. And
That's what I
everybody,
thought. I didn't think it had because the
yeah.
first edition I think is when they did the whole where they broke it out into two different
Mhm.
categories.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
because I think they just do the 1d6 for the open doors.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all it is. So basically, what you're looking at here is if you have an 18 strength, you got a 5 and 6 chance of opening a door, right? And
Right.
so if you have every tentacle like take away, so your base chance to break out of one tentacle is your open doors check, and everybody has a 1 in 6, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so for every additional tentacle, you're subtracting 1, right,
Yeah.
down to a minimum of 1 in 6 chance.
Right.
That's kind of what it would be. So if you have a 13 strength, you got a 3 in 6 chance, but you have
Right.
5 tentacles on you, you're
You
down
got
to a
1 in
1 in
6.
6 chance, right?
Right.
So something like that, right? So that's how you do it OSE style.
Right.
Now, and then when you're looking at second or first edition, you have the open doors check. Second edition does it on a D20 basis.
Right.
So for second edition, you have to change it to a D20 system and then adjust it by there. Or you do the Ben Barsliff Gates thing as well if you wanted to do it like that. But the
Right.
later editions do an opposed strength check. So, I mean, we're not going to
Right.
write up 5 things for you guys and
No.
everything. We're just going to sort of talk about the considerations for each edition, like we've been doing, you know.
Okay.
So, yeah. So that's how we would do it. Roll it for that. Now
So
the other thing too.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that the other thing too. I'll show this here if I can. There. All right. So we have the crocodile for 2E. Right now, the 2E stat block is kind of representative of like the 1E stat block. All right, so what you're looking at here is
make yourself bigger, Joe.
So yeah. Oh yeah. My bad. Yeah. Here, let me. So the
just
layout.
So you can get a little bit better look. There you go.
All right. So what you're looking at here, you know, the climate, the terrain. Obviously, frequency. This is a one-off. This is a big bad guy, right? This is a big beast.
This would be more of a, because since it's, if we're going to call it like maybe a cryptid or whatever, it can just be kind of a one unique creature kind of thing.
Yes.
It would have its own little name or whatever kind of thing. So.
Yep, something. Who named Dassicle? We'll let you name this because that was a good name. Activity cycle. I think that's kind of any. They're always hungry. They don't sleep. It's always dark anyway.
Well, we're just doing OSE, right?
Yeah. But I'm just thinking of different considerations just to show you here what you have to work in, you know. So yeah, so you'd have to have a whole slew of different things for second edition. So
second edition, you got to know what its lineage is and things like that.
Yeah,
it's not too much difference though from a 1E stat block. It looks like
no.
They had a couple. I think they had like 1 or 2 other things, but generally it looks like the same thing.
And the AC scales, the hit points, hit dice, that would scale. Your Thaco scales, right? So if you're
was second edition just a D8 for each hit dice? Is that how that worked?
Yeah. So that scales, equal. So old school essentials, Shadowdark, Swords and Wizardry, first edition, second edition, your hit dice that pretty much scales. You know, you're good to go on that.
And then for this one, the next thing would just be the move.
Yeah.
So we got on land, it's got 90, 30, and then it has the same with swimming.
Okay, that works. Now the challenge though is that this thing grew from a small crocodile to a big one. And it's like a big fish in a bowl. That it is. Though there's an exit out of the bowl, perhaps it can't get out. So it's got to sort of attract and lure things to it. That's the purpose of the kids as well, right? Lure things in there,
right?
Or unless it busts out and sort of erupts through the earth and takes over the town, running down the street or something. That'd be kind of cool.
But I would think it's intelligent enough to know that if it did that, like all that, badass mages that come out and start fireballing its ass. It's
well, that leads to a good question because I know basically when you're looking at second edition, there's a like a stat block for intelligence.
There's not one in here.
There's not one in old school essentials, so you have to put that in the description text of it, right?
Yeah.
Now, how does it work for Shadowdark, Tim? So we have the basics for OSE right now.
Well, Shadowdark's even more basic.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Because you know that way more than I do. I kind of know the
it's just
very broad strokes of Shadowdark.
So what it does for that, it gives you AC, hit points, the attack, and of course its movement is near, and then its stats actually, alignment and level.
Okay.
And then it'll have like any special stuff that it has kind of. But basically that that's a Shadowdark stat block. Very
simple.
Yeah.
That scales with OSE easily. Very easily.
Yeah, OSE I would even say it even has more because its movement rates are more complex. This doesn't go into saves, but what it does, instead of like, how OSE has a list of saves, this has your list of stats on it, or your stat bonuses, I should say, and everything. Doesn't have a morale. Shadowdark doesn't have morale.
Okay.
And it doesn't give XP or number of appearing or treasure type.
Really? That's interesting. That's really interesting.
No.
I would add that in. The morale, all of that. I would add all of that in.
Yeah.
I would add, because I kind of like that stuff. Morale especially is really important. The thing that second edition adds into the stat blocks for consideration purposes is special attack, special defense, and magic resistance. Right? I would assume something this big, a Cthulhu-like cryptoid that's 50 feet across and smart would have some magic resistance. Now, would it have any spell ability? I don't know.
Well, there really isn't any magic resistance in OSC.
No, yeah, I know.
That's what I'm looking at. Because I was looking to see if there was any kind of thing, and I'm looking at the monsters where I would think that they have. Now they have like immunity or what do you call it? Immunity or vulnerability kind of things. So, like if you wanted this specific creature to be immune to something, definitely could. We would just have to specify that. I'm trying to find the
Tentacles Up the Outhouse. There's a name of the adventure. Tentacles at the Outhouse.
Man, that sounds like a horror module if I've ever heard one. Yeah, that's like everybody. I remember for a while when they like around here they kept on saying like there's somebody flushed an out the old myth of somebody flushed an alligator down this. Well, we don't have sewers around here. We don't not like New York or some of the big cities. I mean,
what do you got, like a cesspool or what do they call it?
Yeah, well, they call them leach pits around here. If you have that, but I mean, other people have like a septic system. So basically, it's just a big tank underground.
My brother, I had a little side note as you looked that up. My brother got a house a million years ago.
Yeah.
About 5 years ago, I'm like, well, what the hell smells in the yard? Did you fart? What the hell smells like shit? What is this? And every once in a while, it just smelled like shit.
Right.
And it's like, Jesus Christ, what the hell is this? It's like bad mojo in your house. What is it?
Right.
And so, months go by, and he says, what all that shit smell was? He goes, I said, yeah, what was it? Did you have a sewer break or, the pipe broke? He goes, no. Apparently, when I bought the house, it said on the descriptor that it actually was connected to the sewer. So for 10 years or whatever longer, we thought it was connected to the sewer, when in fact there was a damn cesspit out there.
Yeah,
that's just kept overflowing, but not really a lot. And so he didn't know because he had like a whole area that they never got into. It was all woodsy, right? So the whole property description showed that it had a fucking sewage thing, but it did not. They just screwed him over when he bought. So he had to add they had pipes and run it.
Oh, really? Street. That's odd.
Yeah,
it could get away. Yeah, because that's around here. If you've got one of those things, they have to inspect it before you get to sell the house.
No, he didn't even know he had it. So in the whole time, they had to drain it up, then fill it in, and all that stuff. I'm like,
it's a process. Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. But it does. Yeah, I can imagine it costs a ton of money.
Oh, that was not cheap. Yeah. It was not cheap.
So Grimlore thinks it needs a +2 to hit.
That's good. I like that. That's a poor man's form of magic resistance, basically.
Yeah.
+2 magic item to hit. You mean +2 magic item?
That's what I'm assuming. That's what he meant.
Yeah.
Magic item.
Yeah, or only hit by magic items or something like that. Yeah.
We'll go with +2 since that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they go for that a lot.
Now, does it have any magical abilities? Does it regenerate, for example? Does it have a fear aura? Does it have it lives in a sewer. Can it exude a nasty smell like a stinking cloud? Things like that. Are we going to give it some sort of protective magics or something along those lines?
Yeah, we can give it. The thing you just got to be careful with is you start making it into an uber monster.
I know.
Then you got to, where you want to make a cool monster, you don't want to make it like just
unkillable.
Well, or just so tough that anytime the players go to do something that they.
Mm-hmm.
I know you like doing this, Joe. They get fucked over, but sometimes
I don't fuck them over. I let them fuck themselves over. I learned that from you. I never kill my players. My players make decisions that ends up in their death.
So far, that is whole true.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
I do like the immune to disease, though. You know,
Immune
that
to
makes sense. You
disease.
live in a fucking sewer. I'm sorry, you're immune to diseases. You
Yeah,
know,
that
It's
makes
just-
sense to me. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Now, Flint, you mean the reach of the tentacles or the reach of the lunge that I could jump out of?
Well, remember, we already have it's bite causing disease too.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Bite,
yeah.
causes. What were we calling them?
I don't think we got a name for it yet, but it's a so
To take
Titus just joined. So Titus, what are we making? You're asking. Somebody threw in the suggestion of it's a cryptid that lives in the sewer, infected by
right,
Cthulhu magic. So what we've gotten so far is a big 50-foot crocodile living in in a massive intersection of a sewer where all these pipes connect, and it has, like, instead of a tail, 9 tentacles, and those are his sight and vision and smell and all that kind of things. Plus, the tentacles wrap around somebody in order to drag them underwater and drown them in X round, 3 rounds plus your con bonus, right? So you're underwater drowned by then. Also bites
right.
you for some damage. It's immune to disease and poison, and it bites you and turns you into a crocodile man, essentially. And it has these tiny little crocodile thingies like itself that come out from under the scales of its body when it drowns something in order for it to feed all its little babies, you know, and it has a psychic connection to its babies as well. So that's what we got so far. That's what we got so far. Did I miss anything, guys? I think we pretty much hit the high points there. So we've been talking about the old school essentials version of it, using it as a base, and then just discussing, rather than writing 5 or 6 different stat blocks, discussing what it would take under different systems, right? So yeah, yeah. Oh, and +2 to hit, and +2 magic weapon to hit it, basically. Yeah, that sort of thing. So 30-foot tentacles, 10 foot to be too short. Yeah, because you're not going to get within 10 feet of this thing anyway. If you're smart, you'll be shooting with arrows from a distance, right, from the other regiments instead of cavern. So it would need a way to reach you. You're not going to jump into the water and beat on it, right?
Well, you're going to be in the sewer, so
You're gonna be in a sewer, definitely, but
yeah.
I'm assuming this thing is in a cistern type of a thing, right? With five tunnels leading to it. So if the smart group says, "All right, let's attack from 5 tunnels at once with arrows," this thing's gonna need a way to. I mean, it could obviously submerge and wait till you go away, but I would think it would need a way to attack you. So I think 30-foot tentacles makes some sense. Just to have
I
the
just
reach.
Googled that real quick.
Whoa, nice, nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I
the
like.
tentacles are outside of its head, but yeah,
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
That makes sense. Oh,
cool.
I like that, Dietus. Tentacles pull its prey into the mouth as a swallow whole ability. As it
Yeah,
digests you,
considering its size, absolutely. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
just like yeah, that would definitely. Okay, so
Lays in,
swallow.
it lays you as an egg in the form of a croc man creature. Ooh, that's kind of cool and devious. I like that. Now, you're talking swords and wizardry. That's the same thing as essentially first and second edition, right? The stat block's going to look remarkably similar. You're not going to have much of a dime's worth of difference between them, really. You know, I don't see too much. But old school essentials to Shadowdark to 5e, that's a different story. You know,
Yeah, that's a big jump there for 5e,
yeah,
especially. They'd
yeah. I
have
mean,
like some epic. What do they call it? Call it legendary.
yeah. They like the dragons have that legendary ability kind of a thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, something like
Actually,
that.
that's a good idea. Why don't we I did a quick
Yeah,
search.
don't let us make things together. No PCs would make it out alive.
What's that?
Uh, K5K. Don't let us make things together. No PCs would.
Yeah, yeah. We all get add this thing, add that thing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. That's like yeah, that's one thing. But yeah, got to watch out for like Uber monsters kind of thing. Yeah, they're fun to make, but
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You can scale it back too. You know, you can scale it back if you want. So yeah. So here we go. Let me.
well, it's hard to scale back a Cthulhuid.
That's it. I mean, it's
You
you're
know,
running for your life here.
you're going. Yeah, you're not. If you're running into Cthulhuid type of
Hmm.
creature, you were not meant to survive.
Yep. Just
Okay.
flee. So there we go. So here, this is the 5e. That's basically the 5e stat block. So we've kind of like designed the bare bones structure of this thing.
546.
Yeah. So this is
Holy shit.
the ancient red dragon, because I figure let's get something that has all the bells and whistles, right? So
Yeah.
ancient red dragon. So here we have the size gargantuan. There are size designations, and that matters for various things in 5e. So I think this would be gargantuan, definitely, right? As big as it gets. The armor class for 5e goes upwards, so you have to scale it. AC of 22 is pretty good, to say the least. So your hit points, that's basic. The speed we already have, so that translates. 5e gives it ability scores, right, for certain creatures. So you have to maybe designate this thing to have ability scores rather than in second edition or first edition. You said it was an intelligent or not and what level. Here
Right.
you would have an intelligent creature would have necessarily ability scores, right? And so your strength modifier in 5e would add to the attack bonus or the damage bonus, right? And maybe even the attack modifier. So the bite is D, what do we say, 3d8 plus 10. Right, so you have to scale it up appropriately. And then you have your saving throw charts. Now here's under the skills, that's where you add its senses, right? So you're talking like a high perception value. You could also put something like echolocation in there. That's what that would be, right, for your ability to sense things coming at you within a certain range. And then he's immune to what type of damage is he immune to? That's different than what things is he immune to, because a disease isn't a type of damage, but in 5e, the types of damage, fire, ice, acid, poison, things like that, right? Psychic.
You got a lot of different ones. So.
Yeah. So here you wouldn't have any sort of damage immunities per se. It'd be hard to nail him with fire if he's mostly underwater, though. That's kind of a different thing. But yeah, now your senses. So he has blind sight, he has dark vision, passive perception, very high. And he might speak. I mean, he might have the ability, since it's a psychic creature being Cthulhu, he might be able to speak with you telepathically, right? Maybe draw you in or something like that. And then if he's truly a badass, that's where you get into those legendary things, Tim, right? So legendary actions are certain actions that you can do outside of combat.
Yeah, you can do them at any time, right?
Yeah, depending. At the start of its turn, you basically you do a legendary action after another creature's turn.
Oh, right? I see it there. Yeah.
So somebody comes in and hits it, and he goes, "Okay, it did a thing. Now I'm going to do a legendary." So these things have detection, tail attacks, wing attacks, things like that. Maybe a breath weapon might be a thing, right? So the legendary actions might be where the tails grapple, right? It might be where the tails suck things into the mouth, the maw, right? Then, but the basic actions you're talking about is attacks, right? Multi-attack is where it can do multiple things in a round. So here you could say it can bite and attack with 4 tails around, 4 of 9 tails around, or something along those terms, if you wanted to limit it. Otherwise, you're getting a bite and 9 other attacks via tail around.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then again, your bite, your attack bonus on the bite, the reach of the bite. All right. How many targets can be hit by the bite? And then your damage. It does an average here always, right? So it always give you an average of 21. But here you see 2d10 on the bite plus 10 because of the strength bonus, right? And then the type of damage. You have to always keep this in mind for 5e. Is it piercing? Is it bludgeoning? Is it slashing? Is it psychic? Is it fire, right? So this is piercing damage. That part. Right? So
I don't remember that ever coming into too much play when we were playing in like Rob's 5e game. I don't remember that coming into play.
It didn't. Essentially, certain monsters get like resistances to certain types of damage.
Right.
So I'm not gonna stab the skeleton because it's bone. I'll crush it with a club, right? Something along those lines, And then all of its attacks, the claw, the tail, the bite, have certain things, right? And then now we're getting into the cool, fun stuff. Frightful presence. This is the things that we were talking about. Like, what else could it do? Can it do a stinking cloud because it lives in the sewer? Right? Could it do, maybe does it secrete some sort of an acid or some sort of a toxic thing? This is where you would definitely add the poison, or the poison bite, or the bite that causes disease, or the bite that could turn you into basically a crocodile person, something along those lines,
Right.
And does it have a breath weapon? I mean, the dragons here do. Maybe the crocodile can like spit poison or spit some sort of disease concoction out of its mouth or something like that once a day. Does it have a recharge effect? So that the 5e stat block, you have to have a lot more considerations in there, right? You have to really.
There's a ton more there.
Yeah, you're really expanding this thing out.
What the hell does it need? What's a proficiency bonus?
Proficiency bonus that adds to everything. So if
everything,
and +7 is massive. I mean, you get a proficiency bonus of +1 to start. I think you get your next one to 4th to 5th level, and then another 5th level or something like that. So,
I couldn't remember. I remember it in game, but I couldn't remember it right now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like you guess your base attack bonus, right? It
God, so they
adds
get
to
+7 to
skills, everything.
everything.
If it's
Good
rolling an
grief.
attack, the base proficiency bonus, if it's proficient in the claw, tail, and bite, it's
Right.
+7, right? And so if you look down here, your proficiency bonus is +7, and then it has a strength of +10. So 10 plus 7 equals 17 to hit. All
Holy
right.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's
See, to
the thing.
me, when you got Pleasant 17 to hit, then why are you playing a D20 system?
Oh, D20 plus 17, 37.
Right.
You can't
Yeah.
miss.
It's just that's the kind of stuff that because I remember. I mean, not to pick on Pathfinder, but this is when I knew I didn't want to play Pathfinder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is I was listening to a live role playing version of it, and the guy was disappointed that he rolled a 33.
Jesus Christ.
He
What?
says, I only rolled a 33. And I'm like, what are you? It's like it's a D20
Yeah,
system, and you just rolled a 33. It's like,
yeah,
I mean, I would be disappointed maybe if I rolled that and it was, a percentage system.
yeah, 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 yeah. But
But since 1 through 20 and you rolled a 33,
mm-hmm.
that's like my whole night's roll added together.
Yeah, that's just a
So,
week's worth.
right, exactly. So,
Oh
I
man,
was like,
you got some good
man,
ideas here. So instead of drowning, you suffocate in a stomach acid. That's like the what was the Sarlacc in the Star Wars, right?
all
You
right.
digest you over 1,000 years. Maybe
Yeah, but
immune to fire.
somebody said something about like swallowing them all and then like laying the egg too.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That's creepy.
Yeah, I
That's
like that
creepy.
too because that'd be one of those telltale signs you're getting closer. You might
Yep.
find these couple, I don't know, the diggers that were down there, and they went up missing, and you went looking
Uh-huh.
for them, and you found like their eggs, and it's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
boy, what else do we have here?
Immune to fear is a good idea. That Cthulhu, I mean, there's no fear with a Cthulhu monster. They don't even think in terms of fear. That makes kind of sense. It wouldn't flee. So that would be,
So morale would be just 12 then.
or yeah, whatever system you use. I think in 2E, the morale would be 20 and old school would be 12. Yeah. So, and
Yeah,
then 5E
12 is
doesn't
the
have.
highest is morale. It does the 2d12 system
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this one, just like the reaction bonuses and stuff like that too.
Climbing that mountain wins the day with the name Krakatulu Raptor. I like that.
Yeah.
Krakatulu.
Woo! Man,
say,
Krakatulu Raptor.
say that 3 times fast.
Ah, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Raptor. I do like that. Is fun.
Balanced.
So,
I don't think there's balanced in any. That's really.
I've never worried about balance. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It's not a balance is a fallacy because every group is different. You can't balance against everything, right?
No.
Yeah, yeah. Balance is a lie. I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean, what was it? 4th edition, they had like a math problem you had to figure out before you organize the encounter. But I mean, it's funny when I see them building 5th edition adventures sometimes. I see them not everybody, but I see them getting in pretty heated discussions on the challenge level.
Yeah, CR.
And they get focused on that. And I'm thinking, just put it in there and let them figure it out.
Exactly. Like somebody said aboard before, running is how you balance it.
Right?
Yeah, you can run away.
Yeah, run away, or just sneak, and then or whatever. Yeah, because confronting the Krakatulu Raptor would definitely be ill-advised for most of my party.
You chose poorly. Yeah, it would not be good.
No.
Yeah.
So we got that, and then alignment. I'm going to say it's going to be chaotic because
yeah.
I would say it's more chaotic than neutral, even though it is animal. It's got evil intent,
exactly.
Especially if there's. So now, let's see how many experience points this guy is.
And that's another thing you have to figure out.
I have to figure out that, and then Joe, I'm going to leave it up to you to figure out what the treasure type is.
Treasure type. Yeah, that's a thing. So
of all the monsters I've ever made, I've never figured out a treasure type for any monster I've ever made.
I don't do treasure types.
I don't
Even in,
either usually.
I
Well,
mean,
you did it in our game.
I do because it's listed under there, but if I make something up, I don't give
Mhm.
it a treasure type. I just give it
Yeah.
treasure that makes sense based on what it kills. And so in this situation, it wouldn't be like treasure type T times 2 and X and then a V. You know what I
Right.
mean? It wouldn't be like that. It would be because this is so different and unique. What
It
makes
is
sense for
different.
this thing to have? All right. So you got to figure things come
Well,
in
if it
here.
eats people, yeah, or
It
things,
right?
it
So it
shit out
shits out.
whatever.
It shits out stuff. So that all the treasure would be underwater. So any treasure that you get, you're not going to find scrolls, and you're not going to find potions because it would
Why
shit
not?
out the scrolls and potions, and they would be destroyed in the stomach acid. The potions
Well,
would
not
break.
necessarily. Why would they? Because scrolls are magic items, so they might be magicy. So just because they're made of parchment doesn't mean they'll just dissolve because they hit water. Normal
I
paper.
that's how I go. That's how I
Well, I
do it.
know you do it
Yeah,
that way, but if you
yeah,
think
yeah.
about it, why would all those scrolls be found in damn dirty dungeons?
A bone case, a scroll case, or steel or bone.
Well, there you go. Well, maybe they're in a scroll case or bone
Yeah,
case.
yeah.
Then.
That would be it, and a steel flask to avoid being crushed to death in the stomach of this crocodile.
Right.
But you're talking gems would work. Um,
Hmm.
I
Gems.
always like the idea of cutting open the creature because if he swallowed a guy with armor or a
Right.
sword or a pole arm or a two-handed sword, that may not pass through, man. You know what I mean? That's not yeah.
Right. That might
You
be
know?
a little indigestion for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. So you have to cut it open, get through all the fucking whatever, find the stomach cavity. Diatus got it. There he goes. Treasure based on stomach contents, right? Trophies taken from it, harvesting the tentacles. Yeah, skin it for leather hide. Skinning is always a nice thing.
Yeah. Yeah. We
I
call
like
that harvesting.
that. Mm-hmm. Yep, yep.
Yeah, that's a
And
big thing
so,
in my game. Harvest teeth for +1 daggers.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Like the sandworm, something like the dagger would be. But I would think the dagger, if you, I mean, something like a Cthulhu monster, if you're wielding a tooth as a dagger, it's
Hmm.
almost inherently a cursed item, or the evil Cthulhu magic rubs off on you in some foul way the longer you hold it. Something like that would be, some creepy, cursey kind of a thing. Maybe even with the skin. But anything that it shits out, we're talking coins and gems, boom, piles. But now you're digging through Krakatulu shit to find it, right? Underwater.
Cthulhu.
Underwater Krakatulu shit. So you're diving down 12 feet, digging through decades of shit to find the nuggets, basically.
Right. Yeah. So let me see here real quick. Fuck. Thing's gonna be a beast. Yeah.
Roll for disease. Yeah, yeah. You don't. One does not just sift through Krakatulu shit with no consequence. You definitely are rolling for some disease here, and God forbid you have an open wound when you're doing that. That's all I'm saying.
So from the quick calculation, it looks like it's worth 3,900 experience points, which is
That's significant.
huge,
Yeah,
huge amount for. I'm gonna see if I can find anything like a gold dragon is 27.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's see.
And that
What's it
doesn't
like?
count the treasure, guys. Because remember the old school editions, the treasure. If he has 1,000 gold pieces worth of treasure there, you get 1,000 more XP out of it.
So
So
a turtle dragon is 9,000
mhm.
XP. So this is not a third, but
Yeah,
close to a third to it, or four, or whatever. So yeah, I was just trying to find something kind of relative
hmm
to it, for comparison and stuff like that. Which, um, yeah, that would make more, or put it in an estimate category
yeah.
of badassness there.
Badassery. Yeah, yeah.
Badassery.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I like it. I like it. And then in every edition, have a different translation because an ancient red dragon in 5e is worth 62,000 XP. So
right.
this is not quite as bad as an ancient red dragon, but I drop it in the 20 grand range,
In
probably.
5e, did they give you XP for treasure or for
Oh,
magic items?
no, no, no. Just
Just
the older
killed
editions.
monsters,
Kill
right?
the monsters, yeah. And they focus a lot on a counter XP too, like milestone, I should say. You've reached it,
Oh, right, milestone. Yeah,
so yeah,
that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. So yeah, so basically there you go. We just figured out what makes sense in terms of the treasure, what makes sense in terms of the monster, and you just roll with it. And keep in mind all the different factors that you need to do for different editions by
Right.
looking at the stat blocks. That's what me and Tim did. We just looked at stat blocks. right? What did
Yeah,
this
I mean, it's a good way to kind of gauge about how, how tough you want to make it and see what they kind of do. You don't have to reinvent
Mhm.
everything, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely. Because there's a lot of times, and I've heard that. I mean, I've done this before, but I've done it more often these days. Where if I have something that's a kind of going to be the relative same uh, power or levels or something, I just go find that stat block for that like monster and just kind of borrow it. Maybe make a tweak here and there, but
yeah,
pretty much almost use it um, as is because there's no reason to kind of reinvent it. Because like I've always said, even because I don't fall in love with my monsters because there's always more.
yeah, yeah. There was more
Like I
deadly
always tell you,
combos.
Joe, and everything. Or I can't remember what you were worried about, and I'm just like, don't worry
Everything.
about
I
it.
was worried. I was worried about everything, probably.
I know, but I was just like, there's I can always have more monsters.
Yeah, yeah.
Never run out of those.
I
Yeah,
like this.
we'll have to come up with see if I can find some see if there's any artwork. What we need, I hate saying this. It's just horrible thing to say, but this is the kind of thing that's nice to have, like the AI just type it in,
Yeah, Matt,
kind of thing. Even
Matt
though
has that, right?
Matt has it, yeah.
Yeah,
I'd never use it for any of my stuff, but for this kind of thing, just a
yeah.
free handout thing that we could just like kind of almost like Kelsey does with her monsters on
Hmm.
Shadowdark.
Hmm.
Just make up like a little placard card and offer it for free.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Joe, how because I heard you took over Joe is writing the adventure now. They
Yep.
filling in the details. How's that going?
I did a little bit on Friday, but then I realized I had to do a couple hundred spells for my druid, so I devoted
Oh,
that to it.
you guys,
So
yes. So you got the understood. Yeah.
by not this coming Saturday, but the following one. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I had it all open. I started fucking with it. I'm like, you know what? Fucking spells, because I
Right.
couldn't focus because all I kept thinking about was fucking spells.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, and then you've got all the things to sift through. So
Yeah, yeah,
and it takes
yeah.
because there's so many spells in those
I know.
damn books.
There's thousands and
And now
thousands.
you're gonna do freaking the magic user ones. You're nuts, dude.
I'm just gonna I'll dabble in that later. When I
Right.
have to make up the magic user class spells, I will go through it for that purpose. And if I see something druidy, I'll drop it into the druid.
You
I'm
should
gonna,
just use the foundation spells for it, and then use the other spells for treasure. Like you do find the scroll that you've never seen before, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
that would
yeah,
be a treasure one. That way you don't have to do the freaking work ahead of
all at
time that you
once.
might never. Yeah.
But the thing with the druids and the priests is that they have access to all of them at one time. They can memorize. They can pray for them. You know what I mean? So that's a different problem.
That's
So you
true.
kind of got to
Yeah.
give a good solid list that they have a thing there. Sanity rolls are a must. I agree. I agree. I like what the 5K said there is that the slayers of a Krakathula raptor have only a 5% chance of being believed. It's like I caught this fish, but it got away.
Right.
Yeah, nobody's gonna believe you, man.
Yeah, that's funny. Yes, that is good. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
sanity
big
rolls.
fish story.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm telling you, it was a crocodile in the sewer. It was 50 feet long, and I killed it. Well, where is it?
Yeah.
It disintegrated upon death. Uh huh.
Right.
Okay.
Sure.
Uh
Okay.
huh.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, I could bring it up here. Yeah.
Come
Maybe
down
the
and
only
look.
thing that survive is certain things of it, like you said, it harvested
Teeth
up
or
or whatever.
something. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. God. Well, that's a good timing. We said we go an hour, win an hour 45. So yeah, as usual.
Standard. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then the NyQuil kicked in about 45 minutes ago for real. So I don't know what I said in the last 45 minutes. Hope I was coherent.
Uh,
So
as much as usually.
as usual, yeah.
I don't think there was any loss in comprehension.
No, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. Well, it's a good deal, guys. Well, thanks for listening this long. Appreciate it.
Yes.
We have
Yeah.
still got to be pretty solid around a steady 10 all the whole show. It was
Yeah.
pretty.
Usually around here we're at 18 or 17 because we're leaving.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, they're all
Everybody just
coming in.
wants to see us go.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Grimlore. Yeah, so thanks for joining, guys. Next week, we will have another show next Monday. Hopefully, we'll both be not sick. by then. Although
Oh,
Tim's
did
been sick
you
for a
did you hear
month and
back?
a half.
Have you talked to Daniel yet to see if he'll be here next week?
Are you going to be? That's the key.
Yeah, I'll be here next
You're
week.
going to
Yeah.
definitely be here, yeah, because
Yeah.
Daniel did commit that he would join us next week, I believe. So I'm going to reach
All
out
right,
to him.
cool.
I was just waiting for you to see if you were good to go.
No, I'll be good to go. Yeah,
All
I'll
right,
be good to
yeah.
go
So
next week.
Daniel
I'm
from
just hoping I'm feeling better than next time, so I don't
yeah, me
sound like
too,
I'm
dude.
all groggy.
Yeah,
I
know
don't sound like a Croca
the
Thulu
Raptor. Yeah.
raptor. Yeah,
So the Daniel we're talking about is Daniel from Dan Bandits Keep, guys. He
Daniel
agreed
Bishop.
to do our
Yeah,
show. Yeah, he's a cool dude. So he agreed to do the show. So we'll hopefully have him next week. I'm going to email him tonight or tomorrow after the show, and we'll touch base and see where we're at. All right.
yeah. I look forward to it. I hope he can make
Yeah.
it. I've been
Yeah, me too.
wanting to talk
Good
to him
time.
for a while.
Yeah. We met him at ShireCon, but we talked
Just in
briefly.
passing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was on the stairwell in passing, and that
Yep.
was about
Yep.
it. Yeah.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much,
All
and
right.
we
Good
will
night,
see
everybody.
you next week. All right. Take care.